What's up guys, Chaseontwowheels here, and the last little while on the channel, there has been one comment that I have seen more than any other comment by a far shot, and that has been, Chase, where is the Panigale? Well, it's behind me. Warning, this video is literally me sitting in the garage talking to a camera, so if you're here for fun cinematic stuff, it might not be the one for you. But if you're wondering where the Panigale's been, I got you, bro. Also, it's pronounced Panigale because it's our Panigale, not a Panigale. That's boring. Let me get this framing on point because this bike deserves the majority of the frame. So the video I'm about to make for you guys is only because I see so many questions about it, because the people that actually matter already know why the Panigale hasn't been a thing, and it has to do with another bike. That one, our CBR 500 that we just finished up over on Patreon. So, you're probably asking yourself, Chase, what does a $40,000 Panigale and I don't know how much this bike could cost, what do those bikes have to do with each other? Well, there's a reason that we randomly started making CBR 500 content. Figure we're talking about the CBR, might as well get it in the background. So I get it, you guys probably haven't seen every video on the channel, and that's totally okay, we make a lot of content here. But if you just randomly started seeing CBR 500 content and were wondering where the Panigale is, it's understandable that you would be kind of confused, and it kind of probably seemed like we went from building this super expensive and nice Panigale to this little refresh CBR 500. You know, I could understand how that would be confusing, but there was a reason. Now, if you guys are part of the Patreon page, that's our Wreck Bike Rebuild Patreon community, that's the people we give these motorcycle build bikes out to. If you're one of those guys, you've been updated, you already know why we randomly jumped on the CBR 500 train, and now we're gonna start making Panigale content again now. But if you're not, let's go over it. So the main reason you randomly started seeing CBR 500 content is because we ran into an issue with our build, our Panigale, that we'll talk about in a minute, but it made it so where we were on a waiting pattern and couldn't make any content because we were waiting on a few parts and a few things to get done. A little bit of that is out of our control, but we'll go into the details in a second. So I foresaw that we could either go about a month and a half to potentially 2 months of no build content, or we could go pick up a little bike, not do an entire rebuild on it, but do small things to it that got the bike to what it needed so it could run well. Like if somebody was gonna flip a house or a bike or a car, they would buy it, put enough money into it to make it decent, and then they would sell it for a profit. That's what a flip typically does. But in our case, we have our Patreon community, so we don't really have to do a flip, but we're gonna do something like a flip. So that's why we got the CBR. We got it for a cheap price. We put a few things onto it, got it wrapped, got it looking good, got it running good, and now it's a solid motorcycle that somebody could either have as their first bike or a commuter bike. Whoever the person wins it, they can decide what they want to do to it. But that's why we kind of switched gears and started working on the CBR 500 so that way we could fill content, we could do our build show, because we all enjoy doing our build show, me and my team. So instead of just sitting around doing nothing, we were like, hey, if we're waiting on parts anyway, let's just grab a bike, let's flip it really quick, let's head it out of here. Now, in doing that show, something we actually noticed, we got a lot of comments from you guys saying, hey, I like Wreck Bike Rebuild, but I really like Wreck Bike Refresh, which was the CBR 500, because you guys are not doing these big, super expensive things. You're doing stuff every normal guy could do. There's nothing fancy we did on the CBR 500. Everything was manageable, and it was more like what the everyday person does on a bike, and a lot of you guys really responded well to that, and you liked the Refresh series, and because of that, everything went pretty well. So we're probably gonna do more of them in the future. So a lot of you guys understand that for every episode you support our Wreck Bike Rebuild show, you get a chance to win the motorcycle at the end of the day. Like, that's how the whole thing is structured. So with trying something with the Refresh series, everybody that supported the CBR getting built every episode, you got double entry points. You got an entry for the CBR, and you also got entries for the Panigale. So it's like you get 2 bike entries in one. So as far as my Patreon people go, it was a win-win all over the place. Now, the question we haven't answered is, what the hell were you waiting on with the Panigale? Oh boy, that one was fun. Let's talk about that. So, the thing that put us so far off with the Panigale was unfortunately it's not small, but it was like minute. We had all the fairings. We even showed you guys those months and months ago. We got carbon fiber fairings for the entire bike. It is going to look effing sick. You'll see them in the reveal. But what we didn't get were the lower belly pans. If you guys can see the bike, this fairing that goes around right here. You have the upper fairings, you have the head fairing, you have the rear fairings, but then there's this lower section. The company that we got all of our fairings from, Elmberger Carbon, something like that, they had all the fairing pieces except for the bottom belly fairings. We were under the understanding that they were going to send us fairings, the lower gloss carbon, whenever they got them made. But in the process, it turns out that the new S1000R, the fancy little BMW thing, they went into like full production mode on making BMW fairings, and production of 959 fairings just kind of dropped off. So we waited for freaking months for the lower fairings to come in, and waited and waited and checked in and waited, and there was never an answer. So I start freaking out, because what are we gonna do? We can't have all this carbon and then plastic at the bottom. Legitimately started thinking we were gonna have to do that. Luckily, that's not the case. Now, this ain't out with Wreck Bike Rebuild yet, but you guys will see it soon, so I'm giving you guys a little sneak peek. You're lucky. We ended up having to get non-gloss carbon fiber lower fairings. Those, if I understand correctly, were available the entire time, but it was never told to us. It was just like, oh, we could just send you out non-gloss fairings. And when I'm telling you, the day I was told that, I was like, bro, why was that not the first thing? Why was it not like, hey, you can either wait for gloss carbon, or I could go ahead and send you non-gloss, like matte carbon? It was not that. It was, yeah, we're just waiting on gloss carbon. We're just waiting. I was like, bro, I can get a dude to clear coat shit. Come on, send it over. Anyway, I digress. We waited for a while. We finally found out that we could get matte carbon. Long story short, we got the matte carbon, we got it painted gloss. It looks effing sick. You guys are gonna see it on like episode 25 or 26, I forget. But that was the situation we were in for the longest time. On top of that, episode 25 is gonna come out next week, so you guys will get your dose of the Panigale rebuild stuff going on in that one. But that episode took us 3 full days to film. If you guys aren't familiar with like cameras and stuff, it probably don't matter, but we ended up filming 11 terabytes of footage for just episode 25. Legit, y'all, it's 50 minutes long, and you better grab some popcorn and an extra large soda. Or water if you're drinking healthily, because it's a long episode. We do a lot in it, and we're trying to do the best we can not to stretch these episodes out, because it's a lot of that little monotonous work. If you work on a bike, you know what's up. Lots of tiny little shit you have to do that's not really fun to watch, so we try to speed through it as much as we can. But waiting for parts, waiting for this, waiting for that, that is the whole reason we even came up with Wreck Bike Refresh. So that way, our Patreon people can constantly support something, we can keep giving bikes out. So instead of just sitting around and just being like, okay, we'll just wait on our fairings, and no content come out for the Panigale, instead of all that waiting time, we bought a bike, refreshed it, and now we're giving it away like next week or something. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you guys of like, what happened to the Panigale? Where's it been? Dude, it's been in the garage the whole time. We just been like waiting on parts. And that's what happens with builds. You wait on parts sometimes all your shit comes in on time. So instead of just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, we just figured we'd rock a bike out. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Hopefully you guys have checked out Wreck Bike Refresh. I think the season went pretty well. Everybody seems to be pretty excited. We're gonna be doing a live stream next week of giving the bike away, so I am super amped about that. And yeah, now we've got all the stuff back on the Panigale. Those episodes are gonna start back next Tuesday. And the schedule looks pretty good. I just went this morning, picked up the license plate for this guy, so it's road legal. Gonna be sick, but hey, you gotta wait until that comes out, or you can go check out Patreon. We've got some behind the scenes content over there. So long story short, the long and short of all of it is, one, hope you guys appreciate the content. Two, we can't control when and where and how parts come in, so we're doing the best we can. If you were on Patreon, you would have known all this. I have told these guys knew this months ago, but like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm not obligated to tell you guys because some of you guys aren't on Patreon, and I tell all those guys everything. We spend a ton of energy making our Patreon content, all the behind the scenes stuff. Those people understand, but I figured if you guys are asking this much about where the Panigale is, I figured I'd at least tell you. So that's where the Panigale is. That's why we haven't seen any content from it. That's why the CBR 500 even exists. And I feel pretty good about making that decision. I don't feel bad for like dropping the Panigale off. I will say, next time we do a refresh, I'll try to be a little more clear with you guys, so that way we avoid so many of the same question of like, where's the expensive bike? It's an understandable question. It's gonna be a phenomenal motorcycle and we can't wait to finish it, but we do understand where it's coming from. So, long story short, go check out Patreon. You get all the info there. And if you can't afford that, that's cool. We totally understand. You can just enjoy the free content here on YouTube. So guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. I'm gonna go edit this video so I can put it out tomorrow so the questions can finally stop. Where's the Panigale? All right guys, that's the end of the video. Outro crew, for one, thanks for getting to the end of the video. You know I love you a long time. Secondly, let me know how you thought the refresh series went, and also, how do you guys think we should handle future refresh series? Because what's gonna happen is we're gonna be building a fancy dream bike, and then we're gonna pause and do a refresh, and then we're gonna get back to the fancy dream bike. If you guys got any ideas of how to handle that video-wise, I would love to hear it, because you know, we're always trying to make better stuff here. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go ride this. We gotta save that for the shake now, but you know, it's gonna be good times. Okay, I've been recording for long enough. We're gonna deuces out. All right, fam. Later.